Hey everybody, it's Christine, and today I'm going to start a quick little series for you on hand stitching on your projects. I have to share with you some of my tools first that I like to use for this. So first up, you're going to want some kind of a pad that you can use your paper piercer to poke holes into. Your regular craft mat is not going to work. So here I've got that Cricut one is just a mouse pad. Just a plain old mouse pad, nothing fancy whatsoever. And the orange one actually came in a hand embroidery kit and is meant for that. But again, just a plain mouse pad totally works great. You're also going to need a needle of the appropriate size, not too big, but big enough that you can thread it easily. And then a paper piercer. I also usually use washi tape and then a good pair of scissors to cut my floss. And let's go ahead and take a look at how I get started. So I'm going to just do a straight, simple line for you here to get things rolling. And I just am using a ruler. I am not measuring. I am not doing anything but eyeballing it. And I'm just going through and poking some holes all the way across. And then in the next one, I'm going to actually measure. Now, when would you want to measure versus not measuring? Well, I generally do not measure on this, but if I was doing a dashed line instead of a straight line, I would want to measure because you don't want to have like these random massive spaces in between your lines, unless you do. So, consider what you're doing. You don't have to be over the top on the detail of perfect measurement on this by any means. I rarely employ that technique. So the two kinds of floss twine that I like to use are just a regular embroidery floss, and then this one is a baker's twine, but it's a solid colored one from SRM Stickers. This baker's twine has 4 strands to each piece, and I use 2 of those, and it is still really thick. The embroidery floss has 6 strands, but they are thinner also. So I use 3 of those, and it's still not quite as thick as the baker's twine. So now I'm going to show you a little bit of me doing a back stitch here. If you're not familiar at all with stitching, first of all, I do not have all the names down perfectly. Second of all, this is as uncomplicated as it can get. All I do is I tie a knot at the end and then I attach to the back with washi tape. Why washi tape? Well, because I have tons and tons of washi tape. And quite frankly, who's going to ever use the entire roll of washi tape? Very rare. So why not use it practically as well? And hey, pick out one that you like that's cute and it'll make you smile when you look at the back of your layout, right? So now I am just going in and I am doing a back stitch, and I'm doing it on the line that's perfectly measured so that you can see the 2 different types that I was talking about. So all I'm doing is just going up one hole and then down the next one, and then going over a space and going up a hole and down the next one. And you can overlap a little bit if you need to save embroidery floss. What I mean by that is you can go up a hole and then dip back and go down it and then come back up that same one that you didn't just go down. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, tell me. But so that's what I like. There's nothing real complicated to it, just in and out. But then here you can see I'm making it a dashed line instead. And so there I would want it to be perfectly spaced. Again, unless you're going for a more wild and messier look, and then you wouldn't want it perfectly spaced. And I could see purpose to both ways. So just depending on your end goal, what you want to do. So there you can see what it looks like in the end. Now, what about if you want a shape and you don't want just a straight line? So what I do for shapes is I will either use a big die cut piece already, like I'm doing here, or I will cut one out on my silhouette or punches or any of that kind of stuff. And then I just tape it down with washi tape and use my paper piercer to go all around the outside and create the shape with holes all the way around it. Now, this works great on any fairly simple shape, not overly simple by any means, but fairly simple. And you just go around. You don't do anything complicated, but you don't want like those teeny tiny little spaces to have to deal with. So like, let's say this butterfly had antennas, that would have been a pain. I would have cut them off. So like that's that's what I mean by those teeny tiny simple spaces. And then again, for these shapes, all I'm going to do is just a simple back stitch. And so you're going to see I'm going to attach it with my washi tape again in the back, and I'm just going to come in the hole and then go down the next one. And honestly, you can go back or forward despite the name of the stitch, but you can, it doesn't matter what direction you go. Now, if you're thinking, okay, this is great, Christine, but holy cow, how long is it going to take? Okay, that is the thing about this technique. It is not extremely difficult, but it is definitely time consuming. So my tip is to wait, hold on, I'll come back to that. I want to show you a couple other quick stitches here. So like I like to add cross stitches instead of using an enamel dot or wood veneer piece or sequin in little spaces. And so all I do for those is just go in, I make a square with my holes, and then I go in, do a diagonal, and go out and do the other diagonal. And that's just a great way to add detail. And then this is another stitch, which I can start talking to you while I do this. So when do I make time to do this? I will Netflix while I do it. I will watch, binge on Netflix, a show, or if I'm going for an hour-long drive with my family, obviously I'm not driving, I'll grab something and work on it. And so I just kind of plan it into my schedule. When can I make this work? It might be late at night while I'm watching TV or whatever, but you don't have to sit in your scrapbooking room or at your desk and do this. This is something you can do while you're doing other stuff. Even if you're just sitting and chatting with people, you can do it. So now the stitch that I'm doing here that I'm showing you is, I believe it's called a blanket stitch. I'm doing the vertical part, and then I'm going to go back and do the horizontal all the way. And I just wanted to show you a couple of quick ideas for other stitches that are still just a back stitch, but ways you can change it up. So you could go diagonal, or you could do this horizontal and vertical look to make an interesting border as well. And again, it's not adding a lot of complication. It is adding more into punch as far as your paper piercer goes, but that's it. So just some simple ideas. Now, you can also use embroidery templates, and those are available a lot of places, or you can create your own. This one was an Amy Tan one, and I will link you up to any that I can find on scrapbook.com. I'm not sure how many are out there at this moment exactly, but you can see like she used a longer back stitch, and so this I, it's a letter I, is coming together really fast, and that's kind of a nice nice feature. If I was going to be making a title, I could do it really quickly. I'm going to have one more idea for you today on ways that you can incorporate it. And this other way is a pretty practical way that I've just recently started employing, and that is if you have a patterned paper with a cool design that's stitchable, you can use that. So like this one has chevron zigzags. All I'm doing is just poking holes in each of them. I'm not even doing it in between. So I'm going to do nice long stitches so it won't take anywhere near as long to stitch. And I'm just going to create a really cool zigzag pattern. So again, just think out of the box a little bit and get out some paper and play with it and try. You can experiment. You don't have to spend a ton of time experimenting either to gain confidence on it. And just give it a try. I think it's easier and a little more foolproof, mistake-proof than machine stitching for me, and so that's why I tend towards hand stitching, but I also love the look of it. So give it a try, and I will be back tomorrow with a layout share of stitched layouts and then some more ideas for you in a couple days. Thanks so much.